But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were at our worst, when we were the most obnoxious and annoying, when we were the stupidest and the meanest, when we were being at our most unreasonable, when our hearts were very hard and our necks were very stiff, when we were so completely self-absorbed, when we hurt other people and turned away from him, when we were foolish, when we were jerks, Christ died for us. Not at our best, but at our worst. Not at our most lovable, but at the time when we are as unlovable as possible. That is when Christ dies for us. That means you. That means me. That isn't us. That covers everything. Now, as we've been working through Lent these last few weeks, it seems like there's kind of a logical progression that's being laid out, especially through our scripture readings. We started off at that first Sunday in Lent, and we kind of diagnosed the problem, and our problem is sin. It's the sin that we happily and contentedly engage in, but it's also the consequences of that hereditary sin, that original sin, that from the beginning gets passed along like a dominant genetic trait. That all of creation is broken because of this, and that our lives, no matter how we try to put those pieces back together, it's like a mirror that's been broken, that's never going to quite show the same image ever again. The solution for that problem then is Jesus. We see there in the temptation by the devil in the wilderness that very first Sunday, that to say, well, if God only knew how hard it was to be me, he would cut me a little more slack. Gosh, God, if you would just walk a mile in my shoes, you wouldn't be so hard on me. If you really knew what it was like, you would give me a break. You would take it a little easier. You would be a lot more understanding. And Jesus says, that's why I did it. I did take on your life, and I did take on your suffering and even your temptations. Whatever it is that you've experienced, I've experienced. I've been hungry. I've been thirsty. I've been frustrated. I have been tired. I have been lonely. And I have been tempted. Tempted by the best, which is to say the worst. And to say to sin is only human, Jesus says, no, it's not. As a human, Jesus never fails, and he never falls. It's not only human to fail and to fall. He shows us that it can and ought to be done. But as we do fail, and as we do fall, those comfortable words from last week, those words of peace and those words of strength. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that all who believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but the world might be saved through him. That this was the covenant made all the way back with Father Abraham, that we can be his children. That through this covenant, Abraham and his descendants would be a blessing to the entire world. And that is happening through Christ himself, a gift of God through his love. Not through his condemnation, through his love. That we who fail and fall might have the comfort and the peace and the strength to know that he has done what we cannot. And that through him, that grace will be sufficient, now and always, to comfort. And so we wind up here. All those things we've said so far, diagnosing the problem, hearing his solution, seeing that this is an answer out of love. It is one that is intended to be a blessing for all, and we can feel pretty decent about that. Okay, well, there's a problem, but aha, there's a solution. God is very gracious, and He loves me, and He forgives me, so good. Nice. Now we're set. What we have today, I think, backtracks just a little, but it does so for a very specific point. As soon as we get satisfied with the fact that God is gracious to us, oh, He's got this plan, and He's gonna forgive us, and that's great, and I'm in good shape now. We have this reminder, both there from Paul in the Romans and also bookended through our Old Testament and our Gospel reading, what the depth of that grace truly is. Because as soon as we feel like, yeah, we're doing pretty well, we've got this grace thing covered, we are reminded that that grace isn't coming because we're so terrific. That it's while we were at our absolute worst that Jesus dies for us. It's while that other person was at their absolute worst. Jesus dies for them too. And as Paul's writing, he says, it's not inconceivable that somebody would give up their life for a good person. And if we think about it, if we concentrate, my guess is all of us can close our eyes and imagine a person that when it came to it, we would push out of the way so the bus does not hit them, it hits us instead. Can you come up with someone you would do that for? A person, imagine for just a moment, that you would dive in front of so that the bullet meant to kill them would kill you instead. And I know this sounds very serious and very, very grave, but honestly, my guess is we all have someone, close friend, family member, child. Push came to shove. We would do it. We would do it. Have you ever been at someone's bedside? Again, close friend, family member, maybe even a child. And they are hurting. And they are suffering. Whether it is just misery of illness, or if it is a suffering unto death. If you have had any thought, any hope, or any quiet prayer, Lord, if you would just deliver them from this. Give it to me instead. Give it to me. Don't let them hurt anymore. Don't let them suffer anymore. I remember very, very early on with our first child, bringing her home, and she got sick. And it was like a big a deal, but she's super tiny. I mean, she's like a week old or something. And she got congested, and then her nose started running. And so she's crying, and she's gasping, and then because her nose is running, she started to choke on it. And it was like the worst moment. Lou and I are young, this baby is brand new, and this was scary. And, that's why you buy the little bulb suckers. You suck it right. But still, in that moment, with this tiny life we have just been entrusted with, and we're like, Lord, anything and everything, give it to me. I don't care. Take it away from her. She's too little, and help her, please. And if you have any sense of that would happen with someone that you know and you love, picture for just a moment, I will take that bullet. I will step in front of the bus. I will take on that illness, even unto death. I'm pretty sure that most of us, if not all of us, push came to shove. Okay. You know what? I'm not even going to think about it. But here's where it takes a turn. It's one thing to think about that person we care about so very much, or that person who seems so innocent and so new, so undeserving of this kind of pain and suffering. Now I want you to think of somebody else. I want you to think about somebody who just pushes your buttons. I mean, that person who just drives you up the wall. How about that? How about that person that is just unceasingly and unfailingly obnoxious and rude? Even better, let's up the ante a little bit. You don't even know this person. Your only interaction with them has been obnoxious and rude. Maybe it's that time and you get, cut off in traffic and it's totally their fault, and all you do is just kind of, you make this sort of look like, what happened? And that person just, yeah. You ever run into someone in some kind of circumstance at a restaurant, at a store, bump into them on accident or whatever, and there's just such a rudeness. I mean, this aggressive sense of nasty. And here comes the bus for them. And here comes the bullet for that person. You don't even know them. And the only interaction you've had has just been awful. Think of the person that you assume maybe the world will be a little better off without. Or come up with a person that you just sort of wish you didn't know anything about. Come up with the most annoying and obnoxious reality TV star with the thought that, you know what, maybe they shouldn't have a show and I never have to think about that person again. And here comes the bus and here comes the bullet. And who steps in front of the bus for them? And who takes the bullet for them? Jesus says, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. At our very worst. When we were at our most obnoxious, when we were at our most unlovable, that's when he dies for us. And that other person too. Because this is one thing when we start thinking about ourselves, oh wow, man, God, I mean, he loves me that much, and it's amazing, and that sense of grace is beautiful. But then to think about that super obnoxious person that seems to have no redeeming qualities, and Jesus dies for them too. And not their best day. Like at that absolute worst moment where you couldn't stand them, Jesus loves them enough to step in front of the bus, to take the bullet, to go to the cross. You follow? That is the depth of grace to which we are speaking. At our worst and at their worst. So, I've noted that it's sort of bookended here by our Old Testament and our Gospel readings. This is where it kind of comes into play. Remember our New Testament reading where they are complaining about water and Moses strikes the rock, there's water in the wilderness. What we may gloss over until we take the time to stop is just how early on in the Exodus story this happens. Let me remind you. They were slaves. God frees them. Freed from slavery. Alright? Pursued by an army. And he supernaturally delivers them through the sea into safety. Every day there's a pillar of cloud. Every night there is a pillar of fire. And they've started wandering. They're in the desert for a few days. And they start to grumble and complain. You ever gone on vacation, especially with kids? You hop into the car and at that first moment, you're like, yeah, this is great. We're so excited. We can't wait till we get there. And you're about an hour in and you start thinking, yeah. How much longer? And you're 2 hours in and you start thinking, I'm getting about enough here. And about 4 hours in and you say, be quiet. And we're never going to get there. And it's, I don't care anymore. All of the excitement, it's all kind of gone. You know, the thrill of the new, and it's long past. And the Israelites are a few days now into this wilderness. First, they've gotten hungry. You brought us out here to starve. So what happens the very next morning? Their camp is covered in quail. They get meat. And every day, there will be manna, the bread of heaven. Every single day except the Sabbath, it will be there on the ground for them to collect as absolute much as they will need. And it's amazing and it's miraculous. And this happens right after that. It's been just another day or two. And suddenly they start whining and they start complaining. We're so thirsty. What did you lead us out here to be thirsty and dehydrated? Just die. And it's super obnoxious. Okay, it's super annoying. It's to the point that when God does solve this problem, and he tells Moses to strike the rock with the staff, and supernaturally there in the desert, enough water flows for them to drink. Then Moses calls the place Massa and Meribah, which basically means whiner baby and smart Alex. So think about this in context for a moment. Every day, someone preparing a thoughtful meal for the family out of love and out of duty. And every day, come just before dinner time, the children come into the kitchen with saintly halos. You have provided so much for us. Every day. Every day. We have never been in want. And out of love and care, you provide these meals for us on an ongoing basis, knowing that and trusting in that. Might we know, through your love and care, what's being prepared tonight? That's how it goes? Or is it more like, are we going to have dinner tonight? What are we going to eat? I'm going to die. Yeah? Because however old you are, and I've fed you like every single day, but today I've decided not to. Every single day you've had like a roof over your head and clothes on your back, but now that's somehow in question. But that's not how they tend to ask, is it? If you can remember your own children, the special quality of wine that comes with it, that makes it sound like, gosh, I don't know, are you going to starve me today? Because maybe you will. I mean, yeah, every single day I've eaten, but maybe today's the day, and I better kind of press you and poke you until you agree that yes, you will continue to feed me. And this is kind of what the people are doing to God in the wilderness. It is super annoying and obnoxious. They are whiner babies and they are smart Alex. And what does God do? He quenches their thirst. He gives them water supernaturally from the rock, and they are satisfied. Now, that's not to say there are no consequences to this. There are consequences to their whiner baby smart alecky attitude. But even at their worst, even at their most unreasonable, God He's delivered you from slavery. He's rescued you from an army. He guides you supernaturally every day. He's giving you meat. He's giving you bread. I mean, all this stuff, it's not happened like years and years ago. It happened like yesterday. And there are, and that would, really? Really? But He gives them what they need. At their worst. At their worst. The Samaritan woman at the well, Jesus meets. She is there to draw water for the day. The Samaritans, these are half-breeds, these are sellouts. These are folks that the Jews should not be talking to. They don't even like going to that neighborhood. The fact that He walked through Samaria in the first place is a bit of a surprise because almost every other Jew would take the long way around just to avoid it. These were the guys who come from the northern kingdom. When Israel splits after King Solomon, these were the guys who said, forget Jerusalem, forget the temple, we're going to have our own nation, we're the best, you're the worst, and really they were the worst. They turned away from God like almost immediately, and the northern kingdom is basically a long history of doing the worst thing possible. And as a matter of fact, rather than agree that God intended Solomon to build that temple in Jerusalem, they go ahead and they build one of their own. Like, just to show you that we don't need you, we'll build one of ourselves. The northern kingdom is lost first, it's conquered early. When the people come back, they don't even bother rebuilding the northern kingdom. It's not like the southern kingdom that after the Babylonian captivity, they rebuild Jerusalem, they rebuild Judah. It might get taken over by the Romans later on, but this is home, and this is important. The northern kingdom never stands a chance. So Samaria kind of comes from that. They come from people who sort of wander back, but they don't really want to rebuild Israel, and from people from the neighboring communities who sort of intermarry. These guys are the worst. They don't just believe and act differently from the Jews. They used to be Jews, and then they turned away. So there are some really old grudges here. We have this little interaction. Jesus says, would you draw me some water, please? He says, whoa, you shouldn't be talking to me. Jesus says, well, if you knew who was asking you, you would ask me for water. Except this water would be living water. It would always quench you. It would never run out. She doesn't really understand, but she's willing to play along. Okay, tell me how to get this water so I don't have to keep coming to the well. And Jesus has this great little interaction with her where he says, go call your husband and I'll tell you. Oh, I don't have a husband. And he says, oh yes, isn't that interesting? You've actually been married 5 times. 5 times. And you're with the guy even now, and you didn't even bother marrying him. He would be number 6, but you didn't even go that far. And she says, oh, I perceive that you are a prophet. Please allow me to change the subject. So she has been hugely called out, has got to be completely embarrassed, and yet Jesus neither dismisses her nor condemns her. She is a Samaritan. Bad news, unclean. She has been married 5 times. And whether it's the 1st century or the 21st century, we don't look well on people who marry 5 times. Even celebrities who marry 5 times. Like, that's not a virtue. You've got a problem. And she's living with some guy she is shacking up. And so this is probably not a real great lady. Of questionable moral fiber. Perhaps the whole marriage thing she does on a semi-professional basis, if you are catching my drift. This is not someone that we would laud and magnify. And Jesus says that living water, it's going to spread out everywhere. She tries to change the subject and say, oh, well, the Jews told us that we shouldn't worship in the temple, and we have this area, and he sort of brushes that aside. This is a time is coming, and it's coming very, very soon, when the Spirit of God, like an artesian well, like a spring that comes up from the ground and never runs dry, is going to start flowing all over the world. And it's going to quench thirst in Jerusalem. And it's going to quench thirst all throughout Judah. And it's going to quench thirst in Samaria. And it's going to quench thirst in Rome. And in Persia. And in all over the world. And she's like, whoa, I can't quite fathom that. But the good news is, when the Messiah comes, he'll explain it. And Jesus says, Messiah, huh? I am. And while this is a little bit of an aside, this is one of the constructions within John's Gospel where Jesus makes a point in the Greek that is rendered ego eimi. It is Jesus making a point of emphasis by using the personal pronoun I when the verb does not require it. The verb eimi, am, to be, does not require a subject. The way you conjugate it means you know what the subject is already. If you add the I in front of it, it's always for a reason. It's always for a point of emphasis. Or, like it happens only a few times there within John's Gospel, Jesus is making a very specific point. Jesus, who starts off this little interaction, very, very human, I'm thirsty, please draw me water. And he concludes it by saying, I am. Talks about the Messiah, he says, I am. Now, does this mean I am he, I am the Messiah you're talking about? Sure it does. Does it mean something else? Absolutely does too. For when Moses, at the beginning of the Exodus, meets a burning bush, gets told this grand plan to save God's people, and he says, I'm a nobody. If I'm going to show up and I'm going to tell them all these amazing things are going to happen, they're going to say, who sent you? What should I tell them? And from the burning bush, God says, you may tell them my name. Say, I am has sent you. Here with a woman who you would think there is zero reason for Christ to reach out to. He not only does, but he reveals to her his authority and his divinity, and he says, the Holy Spirit, like a spring of living water, is going to cover all the earth. and will even quench you. So as we have progressed through Lent, hearing our problem, seeing the solution, being comforted by his truth, may we stop for just a moment and allow this to sink in at its depth. Does Jesus step in front of a bullet for us? Yes, he does. Does Jesus push us out of the way so that he would be run over by the bus and not us? Yes, he does. But he does it for the other people too. Even the rotten ones. Even the obnoxious ones. Even the wicked ones. Us at our worst and even them at their worst. For Christ demonstrates God's love for us in this. While we were still at our very worst, and they were too, Christ dies for us. Indeed, he is our God. Even us, whiner babies, smart alecks, adulterers, and malcontents. We are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. Oh, that today we would each hearken to his voice.